Yeah. Came out in 2000, the second edition's in 2004, and the third edition when I get off my butt and get it done. The book was co-authored by Sanjay Patel, who's now a tenured professor at Illinois. He was a PhD student of mine at Michigan. The motivated bottom-up approach goes as follows, and this follows the way the book goes. Motivated bottom-up. I used to think it was bottom-up. And Mike Clancy, who was a first-grade educator at Berkeley, in charge of the lower division courses, he says, I like your book, but how do you keep their attention? I said, oh, I never had a problem with their attention. But then I went back and looked at the book, and I discovered that it's not a bottom. My book was not bottom-up. It was motivated bottom-up. That is, first I do an overview. You see the numbers? 1, overview. I'm motivating what I'm going to do. Not teaching. Motivating. Big difference. Then what I do is I motivate. See where the 2 is? Operations on bits and bytes. Arithmetic and logical. I'm still motivating. Now I'm ready to teach. I teach the transistor. Switch level. Not electrical engineering. It's like a wall switch. And then I move up. From transistors to gates to structures to memory to the LC3. Von Neumann model, a finite state machine, then Von Neumann model, and then finally the Mickey Mouse computer that I have invented for use in the course. Now they're ready to program. So, what do I got there? The instruction set is 7, so 8, programming and debugging. I'm not teaching, I'm motivating. And then 9, 10, 11. Now I'm ready for C. So you see, overview, overview, zip, overview, zip, overview. Motivated bottom up. And each time we build on what they know, they get it, and they understand it. Yeah?
What's chapter 12?
What'd I do? Okay, so my numbering got screwed up. Okay? Fine. These are not chapters, by the way. It started out, so back when I had the transparencies, I had them tied to chapters. I made this thing this morning, and it turns out with the PowerPoint and everything, so I screwed up, okay?
Not every lecture goes with it.
Especially if it's a pain in the ass in the audience. The benefits of this approach, we get rid of the magic, we minimize memorization, maximize understanding, students build on what they know, they debug their own programs because they can. They end up with a broad-based foundation, and by the way, they love it. The feedback in this course, not just at UT, but every place, they love it because they get it. Good students love it when they understand it. And teachers also love it because they actually feel like they're teaching. What I've learned is that freshmen can handle serious meat. Students don't need glitz. They can debug their own, they will debug their own programs. And good students only memorize for one reason. There's only one reason why they memorize. And nobody wants to ask me what that reason is.
Yeah.
You're supposed to, obvious. What's the answer?
You're expecting them to.
No.
No, he doesn't.
No, I don't expect
No, I mean, if you expect them to, then they will do it.
Yeah, but even if you don't expect them to, even if I tell them, you know, in class I told you how to get from A to B. In class I told you how to get from B to C. On the exam I'm going to ask you how to get from A to C. Right? And if you've memorized, you're never going to make that connection. I tell them that. Yet they still memorize. Students will memorize for only one reason. I wish I had come up with it. I didn't. Some education professor handed me that one in a panel about 4 or 5 years ago. The reason? What do you think? Why would a student memorize?
They don't understand.
So that's certainly true.
He's a good student.
So that's even a good student. Even a good student will memorize because they don't understand. But that's not the reason. They don't understand. That's a part of the reason. No, they don't want to flunk the test. See? So even the good student, when it comes down to crunch time, and if he doesn't get it and can't get it, then
That's actually what I meant.
That's your kids.
When I was saying because you make them. Yeah.
oh, okay. So I don't see how to make that connect, but if you do, that's fine. If we agree, that's terrific. All right? Yeah.
Are your exams open book or closed book?
Good question. So I can't make them open book, because if I make them open book, they think the answer is in the book, and they'll spend all their time. So you know the operating system concept of thrashing? Yeah, the equivalent is a kid taking an open book exam.
So what's wrong with that? If they're silly enough to thrash, then let them.
I suppose I could take that position. I don't. Maybe it's my mother's upbringing of me or something or other. So what about closed book? I certainly can't make it closed book, because then I'm rewarding memorization. So a long time ago, say before you were born probably, I discovered that I can't make it open book and I can't make it closed book. So I only have two choices. Don't give exams. Or allow them to bring into the exam 3 sheets of paper on which they've written whatever they want to write. It has to be in their own handwriting, can't be a Xerox copy. So it has to be their cheat sheets. And the sheet of paper can be as big as they want it to be, and the writing can be as small as they want it to be. In fact, they can copy the whole textbook if they want to. Huh?
In their own handwriting.
That's right, in their own handwriting, if they want to, see? But I don't want them selling it to each other. I don't want it Xeroxed, okay? So it turns out that anything, in fact, the advice is anything you think you might need to memorize. For example, my LC3, 16-bit instruction, 4-bit opcode. I have 15 opcodes. To this day, and I must have taught that course I don't know how many times. 4 times at Michigan, and I guess 5 times at Texas now. 9 times I've taught the course. The ISA only has 15 opcodes. You'd think by now I would know all 15 opcodes. That is a 0-1 pattern. I don't. You know, I know conditional branch is 0000. I know add is 0001. For some reason I remember that not is 1001. I don't know all 15. Why would I ever memorize something like that? Every time I need it, I look it up. Now, some of them I've looked up enough times that I remember. But the opcode for load as compared to load register plus offset, you know, load PC relative versus load, I don't know those opcodes. Every time I need it, I look it up, you know. So anything that you might want to memorize, you write on your cheat sheet. Now the funny thing is that what I've really done, in addition to, I think it's the right, who wanted to know? You wanted to know. In addition to it's the right answer, in addition, it's provided a tremendous study mechanism for them to prepare for the exam. So that was what? Good students memorize for only one reason. They don't want to flunk the exam. Engineering education, there is no substitute in my view, and this I've learned from the course. You design it wrong because, you know, you design it wrong. You debug it yourself, then you fix it. And then you see the working result. And wow. You grab them, you don't have to worry about retention. You've got them forever. In the interest of time, I was going to give you an example program that I have them write themselves, but I think I'll save that. Avoid the latest fads. C#, I already said that, replaced by D flat. Abstractions are great after you understand what you are abstracting.
Would everyone mind cutting the coffee break short by 5 minutes so he can give an example, 5 or 10 minutes less than coffee break?
No, we can do parallel processing.
Yeah, I'll do it at a coffee break, fine. Or I'll do it, you want to see the example?
You can do it now.
Yeah, so, okay, so the example is a game of NIM. Again, no glitch. So you all know the game of NIM. NIM has, the way that it's played with kids is 3 rows of matchsticks, and you can remove any number of matchsticks, but it has to be from the same row. And it's a 2-person game. They actually write the simulator, a simulation of the game of NIM. And then the screen, you push, you know, enter, and it says, okay, begin, you know, and so then you push row A, B, or C, and how many you want to remove from the row. And then you hit enter, and sure enough, instead of having that many, you've got minus whatever you typed. No glitch. What I've got is 3 rows of X's on the screen. It's about 200 lines of code, and they do debug it themselves, and they get it to work, and I assign it so that it's due just before they go home for Thanksgiving. In the US, Thanksgiving is a big deal. That's the time when the kid goes home for Thanksgiving, and the old man says, You've been away at the university for the last 2 months. Did you learn anything? The kid says, let me show you. Okay? And he's debunked it himself, and he's got it to work. And he's proud. And then he plays a game with his old man. Wow, that's pretty good. No glitz, just 3 rows of X's. And now you got this kid forever. Right? Because he's actually done this thing by himself, got it to work, has something, people are proud of him for what he's been able to accomplish, and he's off and running. By the way, there is a funny anecdote of one kid came back, he said, I had my father down to the point where he had, his father was a systems programmer, and I had him down to the point there was only 1 row left with 1 X on it. So I'm waiting for him to take off the X, and he, boop, 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 and lo and behold, instead of having 1 X in that row, there were 4 X's in a row. His old man was sharp enough to figure out how the kid must have written the program, knew the ASCII code set, and so he punched in an ASCII code which the kid's program took to be a negative number, and when he subtracted that negative number, he ended up with more X's on the row. And the kid says, how did that happen? And sure enough, that's what it was. By the way, does motivated bottom-up work for everyone? Right? So what if you just want to be a low-level programmer? Then I'd say forget it, go to some technical institute, pay you $200, learn how to do dumb Java programming, and then get a job as a low-level programmer. Don't stop wasting your time in the university. What if you just don't want, what if you don't want to be illiterate, totally illiterate? You just want to be able to kind of have a feeling about computers. That's another CS course, and Astrahan is right. That is a function that we have that we should be teaching computer literacy to these kind of people. But never confuse those two with the student who wants to be prepared to actually do something meaningful in the computing environment. That is, what if you really want to get it? But what if you come from an environment where getting it is scary? That is, suppose you go to a liberal arts school where everybody's a liberal arts school and they're there because they really are computer phobic, they're really science phobic, they're math phobic. But yet some of them could be, in fact, in our field, the number of people who did their undergraduate degree in music is surprisingly high. Somehow they discovered computing and they did terrific. So what if that's your story? Then I want to give a plug for the Bryn Mawr approach. I don't know how many of you know this or not. But I forget the guy's name, Indian guy. Kumar? You don't know? No, yeah. There's a professor at Bryn Mawr, and this is his story, that these freshmen, there's no way that they're going to be able to do this motivated bottom-up approach. So his first course starts with manipulating robots, which is warm and fuzzy robots. And then his second course is the motivated bottom-up approach. So I don't insist that my course comes first. That is, if you are math phobic, so, you know, the kid doesn't know how to swim, what do? You start him in the shallow end, or you take him out in the boat and dump him in the, so okay, swim back to shore. If you drown, we'll bury you. No. So there is that. So what's my bottom line?
You do have the first CS major from Bryn Mawr.
I'm sorry?
You have the first CS major from Bryn Mawr in our program.
Yeah, and probably, so the question that I would ask about her, it's still her, right? Bryn Mawr is one of the schools that recognizes that women really are that good, and we don't have